the ocean sort of thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, good to know. Good to know. It's nice having just everyone with different backgrounds and different knowledge, because as we know, the theory kind of puzzle piece, it all sort of gets put together by different people's journeys, which I think is really exciting. And my motivation is to learn how music works and how it makes one feel. I'm just constantly driven by that sensation. So my want to learn my theory was like, if I learn more theory, then I can read more music. And then if I can read more music, I can play more things and I can study things more and da da da. And then the balance with the ear, of course, because sometimes we can get a little bit sort of obsessed with how it's written and what it says, and then forget about the actual journey of the oral and listening and taking things in, which is really important, really important. And when you're constantly sight reading, which I have to remind myself, I'm constantly sight reading. I really have to remind myself, like, just listen to that song, listen to it, take it in, let it sort of go over you. But there's a tendency where you sort of rest on your laurels a little bit. 'Cause you're like, yeah, I can read that, I can play that, that's not an issue. But then you don't actually take it in. Anyway, let's look at a bit of Dance Monkey. Let's talk about the chord progression first. So as you guys know already, I like to sort of find out the scale degrees. We're in A major, as far as the key signature is concerned. Okay, so we've got 3 sharps. A major is 3 to the right in our circle of fifths. So if I start at C and I go one more to G, I get 1 sharp. 1 more to D, I get 2 sharps. 1 more to A, I get 3 sharps. How does everyone feel about that? Yeah? So we just keep going 5 notes, 5 notes, 5 notes, 5 notes, 5 notes until we work around the whole circle. We find our way back to C. A major, so we get... So now we sort of start to assess, we've got an F sharp minor, which is our 6. 6, the diatonic 6 of any major scale is going to be minor chord. So the diatonic 6. So the 6 that belongs to any major scale will be minor. And when I say it's diatonic, it means that it's using the notes of that scale. So F sharp minor, F sharp, A, C sharp. No problems. Great. Having a good time. 4. 5, then this fun one, 3. Now it's quite unusual, but actually quite a common pop tendency to just end a progression on a 3 or a 4. But in traditional jazz harmony or even classical stuff, it's actually more common to end the progression on a dominant or some sort of leading chord that takes us back to the tonic. Now, there is an inherent relationship between the C sharp minor and the F sharp minor in the sense that they're 5 notes away. See that? But how a chord functions is a little bit more than just the root note relationship. A minor to a minor is not leading me anywhere. It doesn't have the job of that C sharp minor is not to lead me back to F sharp minor. It does have some form of relationship because we get the C sharp to the F sharp. Okay, there is that relationship, but the tonality of a minor chord is, for lack of a better word, quite ambiguous. You guys know what I mean by that? Since that doesn't always take on a specific task. Okay, it sometimes adapts to what's around it. But when you look at any musical theatre tune, any jazz tune, you're going to be laden with dominant chords, lots of dominant chords. Because it's all about tension, release, tension, release, tension, release. Right now, and this is for pop music these days, over the past 10, 20 years or whatever, it's quite common to have no dominant chords. And not only no dominant chords, no seventh chords. So these are just plain as day triads. They're just triads. And there's a feeling when we hear the triad. There's a feeling associated when we hear just the plain. there's simplicity, okay? And that's what we like. That's what the sort of general public likes, whether it be now or then or later.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we've got to think about the ear and the pop culture, that sort of stuff. Not only is it not colored chords, and when I say they're not colored, they don't go into 4 chords or 5 chords or 6 chords. They're just 3 triads. They're just triads. They're in root position, right? As far as the notation goes, they're in root, which gives the feeling, and this is going into what is pop and what is like, is pop meant to be accessible? Do we want to make pop accessible to the masses? That's kind of the idea of pop, is that it's popular due to it being accessible, or is it accessible which makes it popular? You know, that's the kind of question we need to ask. And it's a bit of both, and there's no real way of telling which one comes first. I reckon, I would say that this accompaniment is really purposefully written the way that it is. But if you got like a 10-year-old to sort of play this is probably how they would play it. In the sense that everything is in root position. There's no voice leading.
Yeah.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pretty exciting. And you know what? I've had piano teachers say to me, or a musical director say to me, like, I need you to play like a 5-year-old. Like, just play, like, whack the keyboard. I need you to sort of play less complex, less romantic, you know? My piano teacher would refer to this as like Farmer's Corner. Or like Farmer's Corner chords. That's his way of explaining, like, they're just plain as day, nothing special. They're in root position. There's no color tones. Nah. And there's beautiful simplicity when we get real good pop music that is just plain and simple. Okay. Now, of course, you know, I was chatting to my singer on the ship, mystery singer. And there was sort of this like reticence of wanting to sing this. You know, it's repetitious. It's only like 4 chords. You know, what is this? I can't believe this is popular. You know, this sort of like sort of highbrow nature that musicians tend to get. That's all good. You know, I understand where that comes from. It's like, you know, I painstakingly have to learn all this harmony, and then someone writes something so simple and then it becomes popular. That's kind of a question about art in general, really. Sometimes the most simplest thing can be created that requires no complication and people love it. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way the world works. But what about the theory? Why are we talking about the world?
Philosophy with Daniel.
You guys know my way. Now, let's keep going. Like, there's simplistic rhythm, quavers. Jump, 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 dee da, jump, 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 dee da, jump, 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 dee da, jump, 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 jump. Yeah, so simple, except for that 16th little motif that anticipates the next bar. So that's a bit of complexity, just a little bit. There's nothing crazy. So the idea of the anticipation is that and let me know if this doesn't make sense, because it's a very specific word to explain a sort of specific musical term, but that D major chord just comes a fraction before beat 1. Okay, so anticipation is highly prevalent in swing music. It's very, very, very common to hear. So everything just comes a little bit before the beat. Okay, I'm sort of exaggerating the example. Let's keep looking through. Now, what do you think the effects of a simple accompaniment do to a song like this?
It makes the lyrics and the melody more prevalent.
Yeah, like quite prevalent. I mean, and this is not even accounting for production, right? I'm not even thinking about production right now. You know, from what I can recall, and you'd be able to tell me, it's very simple piano intro, right?
Yeah.
Drums come in at some point, right?
I think so.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I think it's like the chord.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so positive it's either just 4 on the floor, or
Yeah, to that point.
When I see accompaniment like this, by the way, I see the alternative octaves in the left hand. That tells me through experience that the bass comes in then, or that the bass takes some sort of more prevalent role at that point. It also means that when I'm playing, meanwhile, when I'm playing this, I'm going to emit the melody, and I'm only going to pay attention to. This is just the way the sheet music, as you guys know, is written. The melody is always in there. I'm going to pay attention just crotchets, because dance music just needs. Traditionally, it needs like quite a steady dance pop music. It needs a very steady, as I say, 4 on the floor, which is to say the kick drum is playing every crotchet beat. And then I've got this alternative octave. I'm going to kind of just use my own discretion whether I want to do that or whether I just want to repeat the octave. Or, which I think very much it does do that. Very different feel to it's very interesting. And then the next thing I'm going to look at is, I just noticed that at the beginning of the verse, a lot of songs will, I see this 4-bar piano riff. I'm going to use my judgment to kind of, I'm making an educated guess that riff continues throughout. Okay? I wouldn't go. Otherwise, I become one of those piano YouTube ads.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my god, I can't believe I can play the piano. It's like, oh man, that's intense. I mean, I get it. I know where it's coming from. Sometimes you just want to play the melody, right? But you guys can sing the melody. I'm going to make a judgment call that the 4 bars repeat. All right? I'm even going to make an extra judgment call that instead of going, they say, I'm going to do the same rhythm. So, I probably wouldn't do that, actually. I'd probably leave beat 4. They say, yeah, so I'd keep that going. I am intrigued about this left hand, though. So I'm intrigued about that. Again, that's a variation on a clave rhythm that we get in Afro-Cuban music. Boom, boom, boom. One type of clave. That's just one specific clave. Clave is it translates to key, which is a bit confusing. But it's got nothing to do with key signatures or tonal center or anything like that. It's like a key, like an unlocking. Even that's a bit confusing. But kind of like a rhythmic cell in Afro-Cuban music, yeah? This specific clave goes what da 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 do da. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. Traditionally, it's a bit faster, and it's in a 2 feel. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But as we know, dance music, pop music, music in general, pulls from so many different things. Yeah, and then we get fusion. Okay. Cool. I'll finish this up with just maybe making some suggestions as to what I would do to spice it up, to make it a bit spicy. We can see some quaver bass, so that's good. So they say, don't get, do get, do get, do get, do get, do get. That's very disco. That's disco, right? That's your disco vibe, right? Do get, 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 do get. Yeah, if I was channeling like your sort of Vogue kind of 90s piano, I'm trying to syncopate that rhythm as much as possible. Now, that can be quite difficult whilst maintaining that quaver. Do get. So you just keep it nice and simple, and even the more simplistic version is to just pad the chords, okay? But always know that you can shorten a rhythm, and as soon as you shorten rhythm, it does something, you know what I mean? But it's so simple. I'm not overcomplicating the matter. I'm just shortening the rhythm rather than playing it as a pad. So you've got the potential for pad. So I'm just going to hold that. And I'm also playing with octaves at the moment. So playing in higher register, which is really nice in the middle of a pop song before the beat drops. And I'm going to, just so I don't explode your brain, I'm just going to potentially show you what it would probably sound like if we were more in a kind of 20s, 30s place.
Oh, please.
Maybe. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make that C sharp a dominant. Notice that the melody doesn't fit at that point. But I'll probably make an exception and just deal with it. Or I'd change the melody. Okay, these are all arrangement tips. You know, you change the melody, just do a little bit. I go, they say. I just do the same note rather than they say. Or I have to change the chord shape, and then it becomes a slightly different feel. It becomes blues.
Yeah.
So that's like we're kind of getting into a bit of blues there. A little bit, sort of. Otherwise we got... So the idea is that a lot of these chords are kind of superfluous. If I just play F sharp minor throughout the whole thing, I kind of get the same idea across. More importantly, if I do my line cliche, which is my descending line, which is very prevalent in like you're putting on the Ritz 20s, 30s sort of stuff. That can create a bit of interest. What else was I going to say? Pedaling the bass is another thing. They're just random ideas. You can apply it to any songs. They may not be relevant, but... So you see the F sharp just going... So that's... we're getting to like 80s territories, right?
Yeah.
Now,
bit around.
pedaling the C sharp. Let's pick a different section for that. So the sort of take home there is that all I'm doing is just altering the bass note to a C sharp. So pedaling the dominant note over a chord progression, under a chord progression, can make something really interesting. And usually you get it in swing. Let's say we've gone through the song a few times, and then you get this kind of helps build a bit of tension. All I'm doing there is just alternating between the C sharp dominant and F sharp minor. I realize I'm throwing some odd brainy things at you right now. Take from it what you will. And of course, never discount rhythm. Never discount rhythm. Oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hand, my dear, and play them da da da. Da 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 da. Just like a 12/8. with a slight swing to the 16th note. With definitely a swing to the quavers as well. But that's something you can play with your vocal melody. Yeah, rather than getting hung up with the piano. See the way you shine. Just on time tune. No, that's all right.
Yeah.
or bossa nova.
Yeah.
They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hand, my dear, and play. We're getting a bit. I'm getting a bit salsa now. Oh my God, I see the way you shine. Yeah. Or what else we get? So many different ways, right?
That's so cool.
It's crazy. And that's not even going into reharmonization, which is just a whole other... Yeah. That's something that I usually spend a lot of time pondering. It can be quite hard to come up with something on the fly. But if I'm improvising with a vocalist, then I'll just sort of follow them and see what happens. Best way you can reharmonize something is just alter the bass note. It's not really a true reharmonization, but you're inverting the chord. If you want to do like a sort of an MT version of it.
Sure, why not?
They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine. It's still like channeling to Britney Spears kind of drama, isn't it? Oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hand, my dear, and place them both in mine. Need a bit of speech in there, don't you? It's really important. It's really important. It's not musical theatre if you don't sort of do a bit of a whisper. You know,
I do a spong. I love a good spong.
Yeah, spong.
Spoken song.
Right.
Spong.
You know, you stopped me dead while I was passing by. Now I beg to see you dance just one more time. Oh, I see you every time. And oh my, style.
I think that's the version I should go for.
I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I think that's the one.
I think that's it.
I think that's the one. That's the one. They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine. Also, changing the key will get you an instantly different mood. So what do we got? We got 6, 4, 5, 3. It's another key we can work on. 6, 4, 5. Sort of channeling, what am I doing? Sort of scratching myself in two places. I don't know, I've never done that before. Oh, it's everything's new. Everything's a new day. That's some sort of channeling, some like Shaka Khan, a bit of Spice Girls. I'll finish off with this, guys, if you don't mind. I just love the Wannabe riff. I think it's fantastic. I think it's absolutely amazing.
Have you seen Postmodern Jukebox do a version of If You Want to Be My Lover? The the Spice Girls. If you want to be my lover, gotta get with my friends.
What do they do to it?
It's like a Andrew Sisters like 3-part harmony
Cool. Great.
version. It's really cool.
Yeah, that Andrew Sisters stuff is really hard to get accurate because they do so much movement. You know, sometimes like as an arranger, I'm like constantly preparing stuff behind the computer and go, okay, here are vocalists. But I think that when it comes to the Andrew Sisters stuff, like sure, they play with like you know, they, I don't know if that was anything, but they play with this like major 6 chord and a bit of diminished. But then there's so much autonomy in the singing, I feel like I can't vouch for this, obviously, so I could time travel. But I would safely say that the singers would take some autonomy in going like, oh, I'm going to move here and I'm going to move there and I'm going to lead here. You know, then it becomes unique, becomes very fresh. Yeah, I'll just finish this with this. I just love it. It's just, it ties into, like, you go back to like Vogue, Wannabe, Ariana Grande, No Tears Left to Cry. If you haven't checked that out, check that out. Yeah, because she just goes into like a major chord, and it's just so subtle. This like beautiful dissonance that gets created. That it's the sound of absolute coolness. But don't tell anyone I said that. Okay, let's wrap up, shall we? I'll just have one look. The beauty of a simplistic bass line. Brilliant. Love it. And that pulls from the Mixolydian for anyone interested. Here it is. It's awesome. It's so good. All right, guys. Any questions before we wrap up? Nah. Thanks for dealing with my insanity. Always appreciated. Hope you learned something. And I don't know. See you around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy music making.
Bye.
Here she is, boys.
She's here.